Welcome to another episode of A10X brought to you by 10 Leaves.
It's great to be back. And today we're tackling a topic that I think is lurking in the back of everyone's mind.
Oh, for sure. Whether they say it out loud or not.
Exactly. It's the elephant in the server room, you could say. Absolutely. We are doing a deep dive into a source called AI 10X, The Evolution of Labor in the Age of Intelligence. And I have to say, reading this, it felt less like a report and more like a survival guide for the next few years. It really does. It cuts through so much of the noise. You know, you see all the headlines, robots taking jobs, or the opposite, this techno-utopia where nobody works.
Right.
But this source, it focuses on the messy, complicated reality right in the middle, the transition. And that's always the hardest part.
It is. And the mission for our deep dive today is to get at this one kind of terrifying question. Is the rise of AI a threat to our careers? Or is it an opportunity we just haven't figured out how to use yet? Because for a lot of people right now.
Yeah, for a lot of you listening, it probably feels a lot more like a threat. It does. And the data in the source backs up that feeling. But it frames it in a really interesting way. It introduces this concept it calls the AI talent gap.
Okay, so let's define that. Because I think when people hear talent gap, they just think, oh, we need more coders.
Right, more computer scientists.
But that's not what this is about, is it?
No, and that is such a crucial point. If you think this is just about needing more people who can code in Python, you're missing the big picture.
So what is the gap then?
The gap they describe is a huge supply and demand problem. On one side, you have this massive exponential demand from companies for what they call AI literacy.
Literacy.
Yeah, people who can use these tools in finance, in marketing, legal, logistics, you name it.
So the demand isn't just for the people who build the AI, it's for everyone else to actually use it.
Exactly. They are desperate for people to apply this intelligence. But then you look at the supply side, and it's flatlining. The source basically says most of the workforce is still using a playbook from 2015.
And that creates this massive gap.
A huge chasm between what the market needs, this AI-augmented worker, and what the labor force is, currently able to provide.
And the source points out a pretty brutal reality right next to that gap. It says many traditional roles are being automated, which is a very polite way of saying they're just disappearing.
It's a pincer movement. You've got these new jobs opening up that no one's really qualified for yet. And the old jobs, the ones people felt safe in, those shrinking because of automation. It's like the floor is rising and the ceiling is getting higher, and a lot of people are getting squeezed in the middle.
That's the source of the anxiety, isn't it? It's not just, I have to learn a new program to get a promotion. It's the very thing I've built my career on. An algorithm might do it better in a year or two.
It feels personal because it is personal. The source uses a very specific word, displacement. Not just unemployment, but a massive displacement of skills.
Okay. The supply of what workers know how to do just doesn't match the demand of this new intelligent economy. That's a haunting way to put it. That's like being a master calligrapher the moment the printing press is invented.
That's it, exactly. Your skill is still beautiful. It's still valid, but its economic value just fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
And that creates this chaotic, messy middle.
Okay, so we're in the messy middle. The stakes are clear. But the source doesn't just leave us in that doom spiral. It actually lays out a kind of survival kit.
Yes, thank goodness. It lists 4 specific skills that, it argues, can stop you from becoming obsolete.
Yeah.
And they're not just vague corporate buzzwords, they're actual functional skills.
Let's walk through them. I think everyone listening should be doing a little mental audit against this list. Number 1 is AI literacy.
The baseline, the absolute foundation.
But what does that actually mean? I mean, I know how to use ChatGPT. I can ask Siri for the weather. Am I AI literate?
Not necessarily. The source argues literacy isn't just using it, it's understanding it. It's knowing the difference between a search engine and a large language model. It's understanding that an LLM is a probabilistic engine. It's just predicting the next word. It doesn't know facts like a database knows facts.
So literacy is knowing enough to tell when it's just making things up versus when it's being brilliant.
Exactly. It's capability awareness. If you're a marketing manager, you don't need to understand backpropagation, but you do need to know, can I trust this AI to analyze customer sentiment, or is it going to hallucinate a trend that isn't real?
You can't answer that. You're flying blind.
You are. It reminds me of the shift to computers in the 90s.
I was just thinking that. You didn't need to know how to build a server, but if you didn't understand what email was, you were just done.
That's the perfect analogy. AI literacy is the new computer literacy. If you opt out of understanding it, you're opting out of the entire strategic conversation. Okay, so step one, understand the machine. Step two on the list is interesting because it feels, I don't know, almost backward, critical thinking.
Hmm?
This one is my favorite, honestly.
Why? Because normally, when technology gets better, we think less. GPS means I don't have to read a map. Why does AI need more critical thinking from us?
Because AI has lowered the cost of creating content to basically zero. It can spit out a marketing plan, a legal brief, a piece of code, whatever, in seconds.
Right.
But it has zero judgment. It doesn't know if that strategy is actually good or if it just sounds like a good strategy it learned from 1,000 business books.
So the human's job shifts from being the creator to being the editor-in-chief.
Precisely. The value moves from generation to curation. The source is clear. In a world of infinite automated stuff, the really scarce resource is discernment, the ability to tell what's true, what's relevant, and what actually has quality.
I see. So if I just blindly accept whatever the AI gives me, I'm just a pass-through. I'm just forwarding an email.
You're a cog. And cogs are the first thing to get replaced by software. The person who survives, who thrives, is the one who looks at the AI's output and says, wait a minute, the logic here is flawed, or the data point seems off, let me check it. That skepticism, that's the human moat. So we have literacy, knowing the tool, and critical thinking, judging the output. The third one is a term that gets thrown around a lot, sometimes dismissed, prompt engineering. The buzzword of the year for sure.
Right. And I hear people say, oh, that's just typing nicely to a computer. But the source treats this as a serious high-value skill. Why is that?
Because it's not just typing. The phrase the source uses is communicating intent. Think about it. An LLM is like a genius intern with amnesia. It knows everything, but has zero context about your specific problem.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Prompt engineering is the art and science of giving it the exact context, the right constraints, and the proper format it needs to be useful instead of just noisy.
So it's actually a lot like being a good manager.
It is exactly like being a good manager. If you tell a junior employee, hey, look at the sales data, you're going to get a mess back.
Right, a total mess.
But if you say, analyze Q3 sales data for churn in our enterprise sector and present your top 3 findings as a bulleted list for the VP, now you get value.
So a prompt is just a really, really good project brief for your digital employee.
Yes. But with a specific syntax, it's about knowing techniques like chain of thought prompting, where you make the AI show its work so it makes fewer mistakes. It's a craft.
It really gets rid of the idea that AI is magic. It's just a mirror. Garbage in.
Garbage out. A big part of that talent gap is just people who wrote one bad prompt, got a bad result, and walked away saying, see, this thing is useless.
Which leads perfectly to the fourth skill, which I think ties it all together. The source calls it the ability to work alongside intelligent systems.
And that preposition, alongside, is so important.
It's not using a system like a hammer. It implies a relationship.
Exactly. A hammer doesn't give you feedback. Hammer doesn't surprise you. This is about a collaborative workflow. The source talks about a centaur model. Half human, half machine.
That's Gary Kasparov's chess idea, right?
The very same. Kasparov figured out years ago that an average human plus an AI will beat a super AI every single time. And in the workplace, that means weaving your work in and out of the machine. You have the idea, the AI makes the first draft, you critique it, the AI refines it, and you finalize.
It's a dance. And you have to know when to lead and when to follow.
And that dance is the hard part. It requires letting go of some ego. You have to admit the machine is better at certain things, like processing massive amounts of data. It just is. But you also have to be firm that you are better at context, nuance, and ethics.
It sounds like we have to get over this feeling that using AI is, I don't know, cheating. 100%. The source is clear on this.
Yeah.
In this new era, the result is what matters, not how much effort you put in. If you spend 10 hours grinding on something an AI could do in 10 minutes, you're not being noble. You're just being inefficient. So the full toolkit, literacy, critical thinking, prompt engineering, and collaboration, if we can get these, we can bridge the gap. But let's go back to that big question from the start. Threat or opportunity? The source addresses it head on. And the answer is, the classic consultant answer. It's both. I was afraid you were going to say that.
But it gives a key differentiator. The thing that decides which one it is for you is speed.
The winners are those who adapt early. That's the exact quote.
And that is a warning shot. It implies there is a real penalty for a wait-and-see approach.
A big one. Because in other tech shifts, you had a grace period, right? You could wait a couple of years to learn Excel.
You could. But this is happening on a logarithmic scale. The models are getting twice as good every few months. If you wait a year to start learning, the gap you have to cross isn't just a little bigger, it's exponentially wider.
So the threat is really reserved for the passive observer.
Yes. If you are clinging to your 2022 job description, you are squarely in the threat zone. But, and this is the optimism in the report, if you adapt now, the opportunity is just massive.
Because so few people are actually doing it.
So few. The ones who master these skills become incredibly valuable. They become that 10x worker because they have this leverage that almost no one else is using yet. It's about your adaptability quotient. Your AQ is now more important than your IQ.
So let's look forward. We have the skills. What does this future of work actually feel like? What does the Tuesday morning look like?
The ultimate conclusion is that the future is all about human-AI collaboration. It paints a picture where all the friction of work is just removed.
Okay, visualize it for me.
Imagine a workday where you never have to start with a blank page. The anxiety of the blinking cursor is just gone. You never have to do rote data entry or summarize meeting notes or spend an hour digging for a file. All of that cognitive drudgery is offloaded.
So what's left for the human to do? The strategy, the relationships.
The high-level stuff, the synthesis, the creative leaps, the ethical judgments. The source argues this doesn't make us less important. It elevates our work. We finally start acting like robots doing repetitive tasks, and we start being the architects.
That's a very hopeful vision. Liberating even.
Mm-hmm.
But it all hinges on getting over that initial fear.
And that's the whole game. The technology is the easy part. The tools are getting easier to use every day. The hard part is that psychological shift, admitting my old way of working is over and I need to build a new one.
Mastering the collaboration, not fighting the tech.
Yeah.
It's a mindset shift.
That's it. The moment you stop seeing AI as a rival and start seeing it as a partner, a collaborator, the threat immediately turns into leverage. So we've gone from the anxiety of the talent gap to a concrete set of tools: literacy, critical thinking, prompt engineering, and that collaborative mindset. And the core message is that speed is the only thing we can really control. It really all comes down to taking action.
Which brings us to the end of this deep dive, and I want to leave everyone listening with a final thought based on that adapt early idea. We've listed 4 big skills, and it can feel overwhelming.
It can. You don't have to become an expert overnight. Right. So here's the challenge, or maybe just a question to ask yourself. If the winners are the ones who start today, what is the one specific skill from this list that you are going to actually practice tomorrow morning? I love that. Don't just read about it.
Exactly. Not just read about it. Are you going to have an AI critique your own writing to practice your critical thinking? Are you going to try a chain of thought prompt to solve one small problem at work?
That's how you do it. Open the tool, try the thing, see what happens. That tiny bit of experimentation is how you start to close your own personal talent gap.
Action over anxiety. This was AI 10X presented by 10 Leaves.